I'm Tapio, lead programmer here at Third Eye.
I'm Greg Loudon. I'm lead designer at Third Eye Studios. For me, it started with the story. It always starts with the story. A big thing we say is we want our story to be discovered, not told. So you need to play to see. From the story, we moved to level design, so we actually sat down with the art team, and Horus Station actually works and is connected. You can go across the entire game, and you explore, backtrack, go through hub-based level design. And last but not least, once we have the level design done, then it's just a lot of work, implementing everything, implementing mechanics, and polish, of course.
Sometimes I get an idea that I go bounce off someone else, and sometimes people come to me with an idea, and then we figure out together if there is any downsides to it, or then just go make a prototype and see how that works. And sometimes they end up great and we keep it, and sometimes we just discard it and move on. When we think about games in general, like first-person games, they are usually really similar in how they move. Our game with its 0G feels a lot different.
On gamepad, you've always moved around the same way. I know I can remember from the first joystick I used, every other game has used that. I think that we're doing something very different because we're using the stick for a different way. Rather than just move around in 3D, you'll actually automatically grab and pull yourself through the world, which really has to be played. It's very unique, and I think the moment that we discovered this, we were really excited, and we knew it was going to make our game even more interesting for players. So with the weapon design, we actually didn't want to design weapons. That sounds quite strange, but the reality is we wanted to have every single item on Horus Station be hardware or tools. So we kind of started from the basics of what makes a good action game. So you have a shotgun, but in our language, that would be the bolt sprayer. The pistol would be a bolt gun. So we have all these different layers, and the idea is these tools are used on the station for maintenance, repairs, and other things. So in terms of weapons, we tried to think of what would be cool for the player to have, and then we connected it with our world. We don't have dialogue, we don't have cinematics, so we're telling the story in every item we have. Every prop, every weapon, every bit of text, if we have any, which is very little. So weapon design-wise, we started from that basic setup, and then we brought it over to be hardware.
Well, everything's more fun with a friend, so that multiplies with VR co-op, when you can have fun and do goofy things with your friend. Of course, we also have various puzzles for the co-op versions that requires both of the players to cooperate.
So we have the mode which is explore, which means you can go through with our puzzles, our atmosphere, our story, our music, and play in co-op without a single enemy. Then we have engage, which allows you to go through and you can fight against the Horus Station agents, we call them, that are across the station. So I think it's a game for both types of players. Players that want awesome action and players that want a lot of just exploration and atmosphere.
Of course, working with VR is different than just regular games, but what makes this especially challenging is working in both VR and consoles and just a regular screen. So the multi-platform aspect of it, as well as multi-paradigm aspect, makes it a really interesting as well as challenging project.
We want to tell like a deep and complex and immersive story. It started as just a VR game, And having the zero gravity made it a great match for VR. But now that we've expanded to other platforms, it allows us to expand our message as well. I think we have this great world, which the artist will tell you about in terms of like the 70s aesthetic and how it takes us back to the time of the space race and all these sort of things. We have a great message, which we don't actually have any words or any cinematics to tell you, but I think there's an overall theme that you'll get from the game, and the hint is in the title, Downward Spiral. And last, there's a question. I think at the end of the game, you're probably going to want to play the game again. And that's the type of stories we like telling. So I think it comes from this broader overall goal of wanting to give a really great world message and then a question for players. Too many stories just tell you everything. And I'm really happy we're being bold enough to just let players decide what our story is, and we'll never tell them what it means.